Hello, Hannah Chelsea, the baby maven here, and I am so pumped to welcome you to today's expert interview. I know that you're just going to love our guest expert today. She has some fascinating and useful information to share with you, plus she's just a wonderful person. So let me tell you a bit about Brittany Dowell before I hand it over to her. Brittany has been serving expectant and new families in the Washington, D.C. area for 4 years. She works as a labor and postpartum doula, prenatal yoga teacher, childbirth educator, and placenta encapsulator, offering unbiased professional support to new parents as they navigate making the right choices for their unique family. Brittany has been teaching yoga for over 6 years, having earned her 500-hour yoga certification from Yoga District, as well as her 85-hour prenatal yoga certification from Silver Lake Yoga. She teaches childbirth education and trained both through Lamaze and Your Birth Experience, and has been trained with Pro Doula as a labor doula, postpartum doula, and postpartum placenta specialist. After becoming a certified prenatal yoga instructor, she realized that her desire to encourage and counsel new parents during their journey was leading her to an entirely new career in family support. Her clients say that while her experience and knowledge are valuable and appreciated, Brittany's calming demeanor, patience, thoughtfulness, and warm heart make her the asset she is, whether it's in the yoga studio, labor room, or at home. She skillfully guides parents so that they can transition smoothly into their new role, feeling calm, capable, and confident. So on that note, I want to pass it over to Brittany so she can share a bit more about herself and how she got into the biz.
Thanks so much, Hannah. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. So I am all of those things. I'm a labor and postpartum doula, childbirth educator, placenta encapsulator, and what I've been doing the longest is yoga. That's actually how I got into working with expectant families. I had been teaching yoga for a little while and decided to take some continuing education and chose prenatal because I've always enjoyed being in relationship with other women, being in community with other women, and thought that it would really just be sort of a specialized skill for teaching yoga. I had no idea that it was going to be so interesting and fulfilling to me. So from there, I pursued my Lamaze certification, and then from there became a doula as well.
That's absolutely awesome. And I know that your company encompasses all of these different skills and expertise that you have. So could you tell us a little bit more about your company itself?
Absolutely. So my business name is Mamattend Birth Services, and I create custom packages for my clients. Some people only want labor support. Some people want labor and placenta or placenta postpartum. Some people want all of it, and they want private yoga instruction included as well. So I can really tailor whatever kind of experience my clients want, including childbirth education or not, group classes, private classes. And I really strive to provide unbiased professional support to my clients.
That's incredible. I mean, the things that you offer, I feel like it would just be such like a wonderful experience overall, because you could take so many different things from Mamattend. So I know that you have talked about that you are a birth and postpartum doula. And for our viewers who aren't really familiar with what doulas are, could you describe that a bit?
Absolutely. As a labor doula, I help to prepare families before they get ready to have baby. And then I join them during labor, and I stay with them through the birth of the baby and then come back to visit again afterwards just to sort of check in and see how everybody's doing. There's a lot of sort of misconceptions about labor doulas. I don't do anything medical, so I'm there for informational and educational, emotional, physical support. So what that actually looks like in the labor room, of course, varies from client to client, but often it's, giving mom a back rub or reminding dad that he can actually take a break too. He can go have a bite to eat, and then mom's not left alone, because a lot of new parents, or expectant parents rather, don't realize that their nurse isn't going to be in there the whole time. They might come in once an hour or so for 10 minutes at a time. Their doctor or their midwife isn't going to be with them the whole time. They'll be there, checking in every 2 or 3 hours sometimes. So it's often just mom and dad, or mom and whoever her partner is, hanging out in the room as she's laboring, and they don't have anybody to ask immediate questions to. They don't know, if mom's back is really hurting her. I can be there to say, hey, why don't we try doing, why don't we try leaning forward? Sometimes that can take pressure off of your back. Sometimes dads feel a lot of pressure being the only support person there for her. So, they'll get there and they're like, what did that childbirth educator say? I can't remember. What was that thing that we did that you liked so much? And I can be there actually in the moment to say, here, Hannah, for example, Hannah, let me try something with this next contraction. And you say, okay, sure. So I try it. I give you counter pressure on your lower back, for example. After the contraction's over, I get feedback from you to see how you liked it. And then I can pull dad over and actually teach him in the moment how to do what I just did so that he can be the best support person for you possible. And doulas also serve all kinds of clients. So I've served planned cesareans, inductions, vaginal deliveries with or without epidurals, other types of pain medication. We have one hospital here that offers nitrous oxide. So there's no particular type of birth that a labor doula is for. I serve you and the kind of birth that you want to have. And then as a postpartum doula, I come to help new families after they bring baby home. And it's a very open-ended service. So some moms, they really just want somebody to talk to. And so once dad has gone back to work, her mom and her mother-in-law have both gone back to wherever they live, and she's home alone with the baby, like, now what do I do? I'm sure you experienced this too, Hannah. And so I can be there and come in and help them with whatever it takes. Maybe I just make a cup of tea and sit with them on the couch while they feed their baby, or maybe I run errands for them. Maybe I strap baby on in the carrier and chop vegetables for dinner so mom can take a shower and a nap. I also do overnight support. So that might look like me being in the other room with the baby. When baby wakes up at night, I can take the baby to mom if she's breastfeeding, so mom can breastfeed her, or if she's bottle feeding, then I can feed her, obviously. And then mom and dad both get back to sleep a lot sooner, because as soon as mom is finished nursing the baby, I can take the baby back in the other room, burp, change, soothe, and then get baby back to bed. So that's often like at least a 30-minute process that mom has been awake for all this stuff. Baby goes back to sleep for another 2 hours, and then she does the whole thing over again. So it's really a position where I'm supporting the whole family and helping them feel recovered and capable.
That's incredible. And I'm really glad that you also covered throughout that, like, some of the myths that surround the idea of doulas, because I feel like there are a lot of misconceptions that, like, doulas are just like earth mama type people, and like if you want to have a water birth, you get a doula, which I'm sure that you could assist with that, but that you can also be at the hospital, and it's really just about the mom or the couple's birth experience that they want, and then you can support them through that.
Exactly.
So I'm really glad that you added that in. This is just so fascinating. Do you have a certain like time frame that, I know you said with postpartum doula work that it can be, the services can be a little bit more open-ended with what you're offering. With being a labor doula, like how early on do you normally start working with families?
I would say I typically get clients signed between 25 and 32 weeks. I honestly think the earlier you start looking into your birth options, the better. And that's not just with a doula. I mean, as a doula who I currently work alone, so my calendar books up. There's a limited number of clients I can be on call for, because I have to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to drop everything and come to the hospital when my clients need me, whether that's my birthday or, I wanted to go out of town one weekend and, you just can't do it. So it's a big responsibility. And being available is really, really important.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I can understand that on both ends, it's really important to start early, because for one, with these, pregnant families, it can take a little while to find like to figure out what birth experience you want, and then to also find, if you're going the route of working with a doula, finding one that like really fits with you and your family. But then also on your side of things as the doula, you book up fast. So it's really important for these families to also recognize that like there might be like, you might have to kind of, in a sense, like get on like the waiting list. Like the earlier you put your name in there and decide that you're going to be working with a specific doula, the better, because those spots, you're only one person and you can only be in one place at a time.
Exactly. And that's not only for your birth support, but it's also for the team that's going to help you deliver your baby, whether that's, at home, at a birth center, at the hospital. I think that the number one predictor of how your birth is going to go is really where you choose to give birth and who you're choosing to give birth with. So if you're pregnant and you find that you don't feel like your doctor is really listening to you, then you're really going to end up having a fight on your hands when you get to actually being in labor, which is when you don't want to be, arguing or like really having to work for the choices that you want to make. So my recommendation to all of my families is find a care provider you feel really comfortable with, that feels like they're listening to you, they respect you, and a birthplace, hospitals all have different protocols. So making sure that their protocols line up with what you want.
Okay, awesome. I actually had one more question about your work as a labor doula. Do you also wind up serving as like kind of a liaison or an advocate for like the mom or the mom and her partner throughout that experience, since you know what type of experience they're hoping for? Do you wind up conveying that to like the staff that's there, or like helping to remind them during those times? Or is that something that is really left to the couple to do?
That's a great question, Hannah. That is something that a lot of people are wondering about, and there is a little bit of a misconception surrounding that sort of role. I absolutely work with the medical team. The vast majority of all people in America give birth in the hospital, and so far all of my clients have given birth in the hospital as well. So it's nice when you go in and you see a nurse that you've worked with before and she says, "I'm so glad you're here," right? Because she knows I'm going to make her job easier. And then my client feels extra confident because she knows that we're going to work together. It's always my goal to make the care provider's job easier. So not only does that mean that they're not buzzing her to go get ice chips for them every 5 minutes, but it also means that they know I'm not going to be in the way and I'm not going to interfere with what they need to do. I do open the door for conversations. So if you were my client and there was some procedure I knew you didn't want, we had talked about it prenatally, and the doctor comes in and says, "Okay, Hannah, I think it's time to do this," and they walk out to go get whatever it is they need. I would say, "Okay, well, we had talked about this prenatally. I know this wasn't your preference. How do you feel about it now?" And in the moment, some people are like, "Hey, that's fine. I actually think this is probably a better way to go right now." Perfect. Then I totally leave it alone. If they have questions, then when the doctor comes back in, I say, "Hannah, I feel like you had some questions about this. Do you have any that you'd like to discuss?" And then you say, "Yes." And so it really gives my clients the opportunity to vocalize and advocate for themselves without me saying to the doctor, "No, Hannah doesn't want that," right? Because then that doctor does not want me to come back to the next labor that they're attending. So I really work to be part of a cohesive team to care for my clients. And I find that most doctors and midwives and nurses as well all seem to really appreciate having an extra person there just to say, "How are you feeling about this, Hannah?" Because it gives you the opportunity to preemptively say, "Oh, I'm really concerned that if we do this procedure, it'll affect my baby's heart rate." And it gives them the opportunity to reassure you why it wouldn't, or if it does, then what they'll do next.
That's awesome. I think that's such a good role to be able to play, to be just kind of like a facilitator in a sense, because you're making sure just that the information is all said and all the questions are answered. That's really great. I'm glad that you clarified that, because that was something, even though I have many friends that are doulas, it's something that I actually wasn't super clear on. So I wanted to move on to talking about one of the other postpartum services that you offer, which is placenta encapsulation, because I know probably some of our viewers are curious about that or have never even heard of it.
Absolutely. It is, it's definitely sort of not as well known as doulas and obviously as yoga, as far as the services I provide. So placenta encapsulation sounds pretty weird to a lot of people. They're like, what are you even talking about? For viewers that are not pregnant or have never had a baby, you grow a completely new organ to support your baby's life as they grow. That's where baby is connected to you. That's where they get all of their oxygen, all of their nutrients. So after mom has her baby, then the placenta is born as well. And really throughout human history, we have been consuming placentas in some form or another. Much longer ago, people would regularly, cook it in a stew or in a broth, and eat it that way. Most modern moms today aren't that interested in having placenta stew. So what takes the ick factor out a little bit is we can put it into pills for you. So that process looks like, you have your baby, you send your placenta home, put it in the fridge. Then I come to your house with my equipment and I clean your kitchen for you. I steam it to make sure it kills any bacteria that's had an opportunity to grow. And then I put it in the dehydrator. I leave it overnight, clean your kitchen. I come back the next day and then I take it off the dehydrator, grind it up and put it into pills. So then you take it like a supplement.
That's
and then
awesome.
I clean your kitchen again.
That's nice. I like that you added that in each time. What are some of the benefits on placenta encapsulation, like re-ingesting that? Because I know that there are so many, or at least I've heard that there are so many.
Yeah, the benefits are, of course, like any herb or medicine or anything that you take, the results are going to vary by person. But reported benefits have included things like increased breast milk production, faster recovery time, definitely more energy for most people. During the birth process, you lose a lot of blood, and so it helps to replace some of those lost iron stores. And it also helps you keep a little bit more even of a mood during that early postpartum period. So, of course, we're all becoming more educated about postpartum depression, but something not everybody's aware of is that most people experience baby blues, which is shorter lived, and it's not a clinical diagnosis, but a lot of moms will describe feeling weepy or, crying at the drop of the hat or feeling super excited one minute and then like, what have I done the next minute? So taking your placenta, because of the hormones that are retained from the pregnancy and the birth, they just help keep everything a little bit more even during that early postpartum time. And a lot of clients will do placenta encapsulation the first time with a second or third child because they experienced postpartum depression early with one of their earlier pregnancies. Now, of course, it does not cure or prevent any kind of diagnosis, but it can help alleviate the symptoms to make for a smoother, easier postpartum period.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the way that I had heard it described before was it was kind of like adding like a vitamin into your regimen. That like you're not taking it thinking, oh, this is going to cure every one of my problems, but it's kind of like, oh, this could be a really nice addition, and there are some really cool potential positive effects that it could have in my life.
Exactly. And the benefit of me coming to do it in your home is then I'm also there to answer questions for you. Some people are really fascinated by the process and they like want to watch everything. Some people are like, no, thanks, I'll be in there. And then, I'll be putting it into the pills and I'll have somebody say, oh, Brittany, would you mind to come take a look at his latch? I'm not really sure if he's getting anything. And so then, that's added benefit to my client that I get to come over there and sit with her for 5-10 minutes and watch and see how the baby's latching and say, yeah, it looks really good. Or, I'm not sure. What if we tried this instead?
Awesome. So could you tell us, I know that you had mentioned that you often get clients for your labor doula services, I think you said like around like 25 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
How early do you suggest that families start looking into birthing options and preparing for the arrival of their little one?
I really think you can't start too early. Obviously, most people already have a doctor that they're seeing. A lot of people are seeing the same OB that they were seeing as a gynecologist before they got pregnant. Your gynecologist does not have to be the person that you see as a pregnant person and as somebody in labor and having a baby. You can choose somebody else. The earlier you feel comfortable with your choices and the earlier you know what your choices, what the options even are, the better off you're going to be. Because I tell my yoga students in particular, because I see them very regularly, they start asking me like, oh, when should I do my childbirth class? Where should I do it? What kind should I do? I really think the sooner you do your childbirth education class, the better, because when you leave, you may still have more questions. And in fact, a lot of people leave going, well, I have more questions now than when I went in because I didn't even know what I don't know. And now I know what I don't know. So I need more information. So then I can send them to, if they're really interested in doing an unmedicated delivery, I can suggest a natural birth class. Or, if they say, oh, I didn't really feel like my partner got as much hands-on preparation as he wanted, I can suggest a class that will help give them more ideas for comfort measures that they can work on at home before they get ready to have the baby. If they want more breastfeeding support, I can send them to the Breastfeeding Center of Greater Washington, take their free classes. And the earlier you know what your options are, the more options you have. Because if you get up to 35, 36 weeks and you're like, oh, maybe I do want a doula. Not to say you won't find one, because especially here in DC, we have a lot of really great doulas, but your options are going to become more limited.
Awesome. And something else I had, just kind of like one more little question about with your labor doula services. I know that obviously you're there like the day of the birth and you're facilitating conversations and making sure that like the mom and her partner are as comfortable as possible. But what does it look like leading up to that? Like, do you generally meet with them a couple of times, or do you ever wind up going to like a prenatal appointment or anything like that? Like, how much time before the actual birth do they also have like getting to know you?
That's a great question. So I offer a 1-hour free consultation, and that's really that is often the first time people meet me. Not always, because certainly if they've been in my childbirth education class and they're like, oh yeah, I want you as my doula, or my yoga students who have been working with me for weeks or possibly months, sometimes they don't even want to interview anybody else because they already know me really well. But if you're meeting me for the first time, then we'll sit down for about an hour. We'll just talk about what kind of birth you're interested in, what services might help you have the birth you want, and then you choose to hire me. Then I come to your house for a prenatal visit. And that's anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. And that's really tailored to what my client wants. Again, some people say, I liked our childbirth ed class, but I didn't feel like we really had practice with the positions. So we'll go over the positions. We'll, talk about what you can do at home in early labor while the two of you are working together. Some people are really interested in me helping them craft their birth plan. So we look at a couple of different types of birth plans. We talk about the options. And most of the time we'll go over, if you're delivering at this hospital, then when you first walk in the door, this is what's going to happen. Then next, you'll do this. Then they'll take you back to this place, and so on and so on. So they understand what to expect when they get there. That's awesome. Then they also have unlimited, phone, text, email support from me from the time they sign my contract to, well after they have the baby. So anytime they have questions, they can call me, they can email me, they can say, oh, you mentioned there was a study on whatever it was, and so can you send that to me? So then I just email it to them, and, I'm always available, even if we're not getting tons of face-to-face time.
That's incredible. I mean, like, that type of support is like, it's absolutely wonderful. And I'm so glad that you're sharing more information about, labor doulas and then postpartum doula work, because because I feel like so many people don't actually know like what all they could get out of bringing a doula in to be a part of their birth experience.
Absolutely.
It really adds to it. Okay, so I also wanted to know if you have any like tips or tricks that you would like to share with our viewers that already do have a little one, just kind of like when they first come home from the hospital.
Yeah, when you first come home from the hospital, it is overwhelming. So be prepared to ask questions, get support, whether it's from family members or from professional support from somebody like me who can come to your house and help you, or from somebody like Hannah who can come to your house and help you as a coach. Get to know your new baby. Take time for yourself. In other cultures in the world, they spend a lot more time after they have a baby with their community really catering to mom's needs. They keep mom in bed for much longer. They have more time off from work. They have more people who are there cooking and cleaning for them. So when somebody says, hey, I'd really love to come help you, and they kind of don't know what to do, make something up. Say, could you come do my laundry? Because people really do want to help, but they don't want to impose. So if you ask, usually they're going to say yes.
That's awesome advice. And it is true. I don't know why it is that in the States, there's this kind of like, you have that baby, like, get your body back, go back to work, like, do it all, be this like super mom, businesswoman, like, and you're expected to kind of also do it on your own. Like, that's like a sign of strength or something.
Right.
And it shouldn't be that way. Like, as a new mom, you're giving so much love and so much of yourself to this brand new little person, and you're experiencing all these brand new things. It would make sense to have people there that could support you and help replenish your needs so that you can meet your baby's needs.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that all of our viewers get all of your information so that they can definitely connect with you. So we're going to start out with saying, could you share one more time the name of your business?
It is Mamattend Birth Services. That's Mamattend. My website is mamattend.com. And you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Mamattend Birth Services.
I like that. It's just very nice and clear and crisp. What would you say that you're all about, or that like your biz is all about?
I am all about supporting expectant and new families in a non-judgmental way so that they can go through this process feeling calm, capable, and confident.
I love it. And what would you like the one takeaway, if we had to just pick one thing from today's discussion, what would you like our viewers to kind of just pull from this and be like, yes, that's what I got?
Get support. It doesn't have to be from a professional like me. It doesn't have to be a labor doula or a postpartum doula, but find people who are going to support you in your choices for your unique family. As a doula, I say I'm a little bit like the best friend or your sister, but with no opinions.
Oh, that's nice. I think everybody could use somebody like that in their life. And I know that you said that you have a giveaway, so I want to make sure you take a minute to share what that is, and also how our viewers can kind of like put in to be like the possible lucky winner of it.
Absolutely. Yes. So as you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, I am trained both in Lamaze and also Your Birth Experience, which is a new childbirth education system created by Missy David, a fabulous doula who lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I have one of her parent guides for Your Birth Experience. One lucky winner can get one of these. It goes through sort of the stages and phases of labor. It goes through all of your options, how to build a birth plan. And what makes it really special, in my opinion, is that she talks about how to communicate your needs to your staff and to your partner, for that matter. So you can go to my Facebook page at facebook.com/Mamattend Birth Services, and I will link it to the post that Hannah's going to put for my speaker interview. I want you to post a picture of you and or your baby, and then tell me what was the one thing that was most helpful or that you would find most helpful during pregnancy.
That's awesome. And that's such an incredible resource that you're putting out there for people to possibly win. So viewers, get out there, make sure that you get to Brittany's Facebook business page so that you can put that picture, you can write that comment, and you could maybe be the lucky winner of that awesome book. All of the links that you will need are in the email that you received with this video, like Brittany's website, her Facebook page, and I'll give you like a quick little rundown reminder of what you would need to do to submit to be the possible lucky winner. And Brittany, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I really enjoyed our discussion. I feel like I learned so much, which is always really exciting through the interviews when it's something that totally like brings light to a topic that I thought I knew something about, and then I learned that I really didn't.
Thank you so much for having me, Hannah. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. So viewers, make sure that you check out and you click on all those links that I sent you in the email. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.